Today we're breaking down Jean Arnault's watch collection, and just for context, he's the director of watches at Louis Vuitton, but actually he is Bernard Arnault's son. And Bernard Arnault is the CEO of every luxury brand there is. So this interview will get quite interesting.
This watch is the first watch that I've ever made. It's a piece that I bought when I arrived here on eBay. Nobody really knows about this piece, so it was designed in the 80s by Guerlain.
Well, this watch is actually quite hard to find, and the asking price for it is $6,500.
The watch was super expensive because it's made of solid gold.
Made of solid gold, Louis Vuitton style.
This one is the Octa Réserve de Marche, so at face value, it's one of those watches that you recognize and say, okay, like it's a simple Journe. Kind of when you turn it over, that you realize what lies behind it. Obviously, it's a brass movement watch, but this one is actually the prototype, so one of three.
It's modeled after the Octa Reserve, and you can mix them up. And the Octa Reserve is not cheap either. They go for like $185,000. But when you get into the prototype territory, that's where things get complicated. But I actually found the prototype itself. It was sold in 2019 at a Philips auction for $250,000.
You know, a friend of mine convinced me to buy it, and I went to see Journe with it.
Oh, I went to Journe to see the watch. That's the fun part about this interview.
This piece is a bit of a special one. I actually saw it through a friend of mine. A watch they haven't really produced much of in general.
I think this is the only one for sale at the moment. It goes for around $30,000.
Probably the most iconic complication at Patek. And the story behind this one.
He's got the most amazing watches ever. So this is the one from 2004, and it went for like $100,000.
The platinums and the white gold ones are quite difficult to find. They haven't...
Because there are like 3 platinums and there are just a couple white golds, and they go over $500,000, over $1 million easily.
I'd like to take a look at the Longa because it's just sort of like shimmering at me, and I think that it's just begging to be talked about at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not usually a Longa fan, but that's the watch that made me discover the brand altogether.
This one goes for like $2,500 on the gray market. I don't know if you can get it from Longa still, you probably can. But it's a fascinating watch with a fascinating dial.
Going into a different direction here, there's a watch that most people might not really know about.
This one is an only watch actually, from a brand called Crayon. It's a really recent brand. They launched 3-4 years ago, I think.
The last sale I found was on the Christie's auction for $350,000.
When I first saw it, it was really insane. And when I first wound it, I was amazed by the sound it makes. This one is inspired from the traditional, hand-painted flags escale that we have all time. And when I arrived at LV Watches, I had the opportunity to have this on the wrist.
Normal watch was shown, but it looks something like this. And it goes for $280,000 or something along those lines. A crazy watch with a lot going on the dial, so I don't know if you really want a watch like this. They took the hands off, they fixed this mess in the middle of the dial, and they make it like a more artsy version of the same watch.
It's pretty esoteric, and it takes an actual collector to even want to pursue something like this. I'll say nothing else and let you take it from here.
So this one, obviously I couldn't bring it here because of the sheer size of it and everything, but it's a Patek T2 modular timing system. So obviously in the 60s, Seiko comes in with the quartz technique.
Sure.
And,
the question is, can you actually buy it? And yes, you can buy it at Current 24 for $78,000, and you'll get this. And especially his, which is from the actual nuclear reactor in Germany. It's just fucking insane. Even people like him have like grail watches.
A watch that you have your eye on. I hate to say grail watch, but maybe just something that's exciting you these days.
I'm really getting into clockmaking.
Okay.
So one grail for me would be one of those dome clocks from Patek with the enamel and everything like that.
Yeah. It's like $300,000. It's a quartz movement. I don't even know how you go about buying one of those things.